Asking unusual questions to assess creativity is the way that a successful advertising agency employer interviews potential hires. Ex-houses, after several dismal interviews, the employer meets his last appointment with little to no hope. Wearily, he asks the first question, "How do you get from this room to that room?" He points to the adjoining office. The young man before him pauses for a second and then leaps on his feet and answering the question in the following way. He says, "Well, first you stand up, take a step. There are so many ways, so many possible ways. You can go by walking, hopping, jumping, walking on your hands, crawl, slide on your stomach, ask you to carry me, go piggyback, or go backwards." Shocked and delighted with the answer, the interviewer is asking to speak when the man continues with tremendous animation, and he goes on. "I could leave the room through that door, take a taxi to the airport, buy a ticket, and take a plane to Canary Islands, London, Rome, Athens, Manila, Honolulu, San Francisco, Chicago, Atlanta, New York, then come back, land, take the limousine here, purchase a ladder, put it up to the window and in the room, and come in through that very window." Before he could begin again, the interviewer shouted, "Stop, stop, you are hired." Not only was the young man hired on the spot, he became a managing team leader within a month. Creative thinking, alternating perspectives, and taking action are the way that we continue to move into another room. Sometimes, perhaps, we feel like we are in a locked room. We don't know how to get out. A locked room is an image that may be helpful in describing when we are trapped by our thoughts and feelings. Sometimes that room is full of fear and resentment. Our relationships and difficulty with relationships can be creatively altered by prayer, which changes our thinking and our feeling. Prayer can set us free from a locked room of ourselves. Prayer can bring us out of the prison of ourselves and help to broaden our minds and soften our hearts. The psalm today advises, "If today you hear God's voice, harden not your hearts." God softens our hearts and enables us to begin moving into a room where we are able to accomplish what the second reading challenges us to do, to love our neighbor as ourselves. Of course, first we have to love ourselves. Let's face it, when we are locked in a room of anger and resentment, there is no room in that room for anyone else but ourselves. God desires to teach us how to get creatively out from that room to the next room through prayer. In today's gospel, Jesus outlines the way he wishes his disciples to settle down the conflicts. And today, we'll look at one of the most powerful prayers I know. It is a prayer that takes the first step to healing conflict within us and with others. The prayer that I will share frees me from the locked room of myself when I'm in conflict with other people, angry, resentful, and not willing whoever is annoying me to be anywhere near my room. Jesus teaches in the scriptures that when we are in conflict with our enemies or having difficulties with our loved ones, co-workers, friends, etc., he instructs, bless those who hurt you. Pray for those with whom you are not at peace. Blessing and prayer for others is the way that Jesus recommends for us to move from one room to the next. Jesus does not say that we need to feel like blessing and praying for others when we are not at peace with them. But Jesus asks us to act in obedience. And what's obedience? Obedience is a word that means to listen. Jesus only asks us to listen to his teaching and to follow it. Blessing and praying for others when we are not at peace with them, when our own anger and resentment or even fear keeps us in this locked room, this room of unfree. Here is the sample prayer that we can make as an act of faith, hope, and love in Jesus' power to transform us through the renewal of our minds. And this prayer goes like this. Lord, bless, you can name the person, and transform me to set me free. Let me be clear. We do not have to feel like saying this prayer. We may say this prayer through grounded teeth, through tears, through clenched fists. What's important is that we offer this prayer which opens an opportunity to God to do some good in us, to transform ourselves. When we are locked in a locked room and obsessed with the negative thoughts about someone else or a situation, we don't know what to do. The simple blessing prayer is something to do. Just praying begins to turn the lock to set us free. Through this prayer, made in obedience, which means listening to God, transform our thinking. I'm not saying that our feelings and the situation will be immediately healed, and that all the relationships, boom, become all perfect. No. What I'm saying is that when we are open to God's grace, changes are possible. The lock in this door, at least, is open. As in our opening story, there are many ways to go from one room to another. God will guide us, will help, will lead us to the other room. Prayer is the first step on the journey to our room filled with freedom and peace. I found this prayer to be a tremendous gift for me in my life. Because no matter how I feel or what I'm thinking when I say this blessing prayer, I'm turning over to God my situation. This prayer is the beginning of God's power at work in us, which can do more than we can ever hope or imagine. God's desire is to do for us what we cannot do for ourselves. conflict in relationships is inevitable. And this is a part of our human condition. Particularly during this health crisis, when we are all stressed out, our relationships are strained. Blessing and praying for those with whom we are not at peace is a gift for our thinking. I offer you an opportunity at this time to call to mind someone with whom you are not at peace. If you can't think about anyone, good for you. But you can pray for someone else. Think of someone who is having relationships problems or conflict between people. So, if you are here in the church, close your eyes. And those who are with us virtually, you also can close your eyes and think about this person or those people. Think of whom you need to bless. And remember, you do not have to feel it to say it, but this is just the first step. And this is our prayer. Lord, bless that person which I'm thinking right now, and transform me to set me free. The prayer is spoken. You can come back. We have taken the first step to freedom. Like the young man in our opening story, there are endless possibilities and creative ways that God is now at work within us to set us free. Moving from locked room of our anger or resentment is a journey that is now begun with one step we have just taken. Your prayer is opening you to freedom of mind and heart. This prayer is working within you to transform you. And as somebody wisely once said, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. So we just have taken our first step. And we may be crawling, sliding on our stomachs, hopping, jumping, but we just began this beautiful journey with the Lord today. May the Lord bless you and transform us and set us all free. Amen.